2.5 is writing the equation of a line, okay? Writing the equation of a line. Now, on my labs and some textbooks, they teach this by using a different equation setup, okay? When we started 2.4, we talked about two forms. You had standard form, you had slope-intercept form that you normally see your equations in. There's also a form called point-slope form. And point-slope form is nothing but the slope formula retransformed some type of way. So point-slope, and don't write this down, it's something, and I might have it backwards, but it's in that format. I don't use point slope, and a lot of teachers don't use point slope to actually teach this section because it kind of it deviates from what we've been doing, okay? So I just like to continue with slope-intercept. If you notice on all of my equations that was in standard form, I solved for y and put it in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And that's an equation. That's an equation of a line. That's going to be the easier equation for you to plug into because here you only have four numbers, okay? Only have four numbers. And I'm going to give you three of the numbers. You got to find the missing one, okay? Then you write your equation. So, giving you an example so you can see what I'm talking about, I want us to write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 1, 3 and has a slope of -2. So I got m equals -2. So I want the equation that's going to hit the point 1, 3. That point is on that line. And it has the movement, the slope of -2. So when I look at slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, I have given you the numbers x and y because isn't that what's in a point? An x number and a y number? So you can plug them in for x and y. I've also given you m. M is -2. So the only number you don't have is who? B. So you're going to solve for B because that's your missing puzzle piece. Then we're going to write the equation with only M and B in it. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to plug in those three numbers. Y is 3. Our M is -2. Our X is 1 plus B. So you're solving for B. You want to get B by itself. So we're going to multiply -2 times 1, which is obviously -2. And then what are we going to do to get B by itself? How do you move -2? You're going to add 2. Very good. So B equals who? 5. So what you just found was the y-intercept. Isn't B our y-intercept? So you have found B. So now you got to write the equation. You don't have an equation right now. You just got a number. You got 5 is B. So when you write this equation, you got to go back in slope-intercept form. This is how an equation looks. For it to be a true line, it's got to still have an x and a y. You're going to go back and plug in the numbers for M and B. Do you follow me? So you're going to keep the y. The M I gave you. What's M? -2. Stick an X on it so I know it's M. And what's the B you just found? 5, and it's positive. So that's the equation of that line that's going to go through the point 1, 3 and has a slope of -2. Do y'all see what we did? We took the slope-intercept form to find B. Then you turn around and rewrite it with B and M. Yeah, I see that. Okay, let's do another one. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 2, 4 and has a slope of 3. So we're going to take this point is going to be our x and y. I gave you m, and we're going to plug those numbers in to find b. So y is what, 4? M is x is plus b. So we got 4 equals 6 plus b. And what do you do to get b by itself? Subtract 6. So b is -2. Your y-intercept is -2. Do y'all see that? But you're not done. I always have students that stop here. You got to actually write the equation, though. So the equation would be y equals, what's your m? Stick an x on it, minus 2. Do you see that? You must go back and plug in the m and the b. Does everyone see what we're doing? Okay. Number 3. Write the equation of a line that's going through the point 6, 3, and m is 4. So we plug it in. Y is 3, m is, x is, good, plus b. So we have 3 equals 24. And what do we do with 24? Subtract it, so b is -21. So our equation would be y equals 4x minus 21. Awesome. Y'all see that? Okay. Number 4. We're going to write the equation that's going to go through -4, +3, and the slope is 3/4. So we got y equals mx plus b. So our y is 3, m is 3/4, and x is -4. And when I give a fraction, sometimes I do put my x over 1, but that's just to remind you that you know you're multiplying top times top and bottom times bottom, okay? But you don't have to. So this would give me 3 equals. Now this fraction is a -12/4. Do y'all see that? Which reduces to who though? -3. And what do you do with -3? Well, you're going to do what? Add it. And 3 plus 3 is 6. So our equation would be y equals 3/4 x plus 6. Very good. Now, I want to insert something right here. Let's take that answer. Y equals 3/4 x plus 6. What if I ask you to write your answer in standard form? Now, we have been taking standard form and putting it in slope-intercept form, okay? That's what we did on all of these graphs. Basically, you solve for y to put it in slope-intercept. Now, you got your answer in slope-intercept. I want you to take it to standard, okay? You might see that on tests. I know you'll see it on my labs. So what you do is you first got to get x and y on the same side. That's obviously what standard form is. X and y is together versus slope-intercept, y is by itself. So if I'm putting this in standard form, there are two things you got to make sure you know about standard form. The first thing, and I'm going to write this over here in red, the first thing about standard form, they don't do any fractions. No fractions. Standard form don't have fractions in it. Not in the original format. Okay? No fractions. Second thing, your x can't be negative. When you move it, the x can't be negative. Okay? Your x can't be negative. Because if you remember, if you look at like number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, my x is the very first term. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So because x is in the lead, you don't have him negative. That's what I mean. So once you put it over there by y, it's got to be positive, okay? So if I look at y equals 3/4 x plus 6, I want to put him in standard form. The very first thing I'm going to do is clear out my fractions, because you can't have a fraction. So we know how to clear out fractions. We did that back in chapter 1. How you clear out fractions is you multiply by the common denominator. Well, here you ain't got but one denominator. It's 4. So you're going to multiply all 3 terms by 4. That's my first step. When I do that, that gives me 4y equals, now here the 4's cancel. That's the whole point of me multiplying by 4. Or if you want to take your time and multiply that out, that's going to be 12 over 4, which reduces to 3, which is the same as that being 3x when you cancel the 4's. Does that make sense? Plus 24. So now I have no fraction, so I've gotten rid of that fraction. The next step would be put x over there with y. It's got to be in the front of y. So if you move this 3x over, it's going to become a what? A negative 3x, which now I got to deal with what number 2 says. That x can't be negative if it's sitting in front. It's got to be positive. So all that means is you're going to divide a negative off of everybody, which all that is change everybody's sign. Okay? At this point, you don't have to show me that you dividing by -1. You're going to change everyone's sign. Change the signs. So that's going to give us positive 3x, a negative 4y, and what type of 24? Negative. That's the exact same equation as y equals 3/4 x plus 6, but it's 3x minus 4y equals negative 24 in standard form. Do y'all see what we did? First step, I got rid of my fraction, multiply by the denominator. Second step, move x, but if it's negative when you move it, change everybody's sign. Okay? I want to make sure you do something, and I might ask on another problem, hey, let's make this one into standard form, because that's going to be a problem on tests. And I know my labs is going to ask you to do 1 or 2 problems like that, okay? All right, so number 5, let's move on to the next problem. Let's write the equation that's going to go through the point -5, positive 4, and has a slope of -3/2. And has a slope of -3/2. So again, we're going to take these 3 numbers, plug them in. Y is 4. My M is negative 3 over 2. And my X is negative 5. So I got 4 equals. When I multiply this, you get a positive 15 over 2. That doesn't reduce. Like the other one, you got what, 12 over 3 or something? That reduce. This doesn't reduce. So you got to use the fraction. Don't give me no decimals. You're going to have to give me, this is letting me know my y-intercept is going to be a fraction. I'm not asking you to graph these. So I don't want you to freak out, but you can have fraction y-intercepts. We just been graphing the easy ones that are whole numbers. But you can't have a fraction. So we're going to keep solving. We're going to do what to 15 over 2? Subtract it. So your calculators, if you can type this in and it'll give you that fraction in improper form, because that's what you need. You can easily say 4 minus 15 ABC too, because you got to use that ABC button for the calculator to know, oh, she wants this to be in fraction form, not decimal form. And then it's going to give you probably a mix. You hit second ABC and it'll flip it to improper. What you get? Who?
23 over 2.
That's not going to be 23. That 4 going to be 8. 8 minus 15 is... I just told you the top number. 8 minus 15 is... negative 7 over 2. Okay? Now, y'all, you weren't able to type it in and get negative 7 over 2? No? Yes? Okay. You use the ABC button for the division line. Okay, so when you're typing in, you say 4 minus 15 ABC 2. That's where you hit that ABC so it knows your division line. And hit enter. And then it's going to give it to you probably as a mix. So hit second ABC and it's going to make it improper because you want it improper. And it should give you negative 7 over 2. Did it? Okay. Now, for those that might not use the calculator, you use your noggin like I'm sitting here doing. You should know that this is basic arithmetic. Anytime you got a whole number and you got a fraction number, to convert this whole number to a fraction, you're going to multiply the 4 and the denominator together. 4 is the same as 8 over 2. Doesn't 8 over 2 reduce to 4? So in terms of 2 as the denominator, 4 would be 8 over 2. I didn't change 4. I just made them look like a fraction. Does that make sense? And then I just subtract. 8 minus 15 is a negative 7 over 2. If you don't have your calculator. All right. Now that's just the y-intercept. The equation is actually going to be what? Y equals minus 7/2. Good. Y equals negative 3/2 x minus 7/2. Very good. Did I see that? Okay. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 98 and has a slope of 2/5. So y would be 8. My m is 2/5. X would be what, 9 plus b? So we got 8 equals, what is that, 18 over 5? I'll give y'all some practice with these fractional y-intercepts. So you're going to do what with 18 fifths? Subtract it. What you get? 22 fifths. Good. Anybody else get 22 fifths? Let's try it in the calculator. 22 fifths. And like I said, if you're sitting here doing this mentally, that's 40. 8 and 5 is 40. 40 minus 18 is a 22. So 22 fifths. So our equation would be y equals plus, very good. Y equals 2 fifths x plus 22 fifths. And so let's, y equals 2 fifths x plus 22 fifths. Let's put this one in standard form. To put it in standard form, we first going to do what? Good. Multiply by the common denominator, which is just who? 5. So that's going to give us 5y equals, now when you do that, it's canceling on these fractions. So that just leaves you what, 2x plus 22? What's your next step? Subtract the 2x, but it can't be negative, so then you do what? Divide by negative or change everybody's what? Signs. Good. So that should give you 2x minus 5y equals negative 22. Awesome. Y'all see that? Okay. Number 7. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point negative 7, positive 11, and has a slope of negative 1/4. So our y is 11, our m is negative 1/4, and our x is negative 7. So when we multiply, that gives us a positive 7/4. That can't be reduced. And what are we going to do with 7/4? Subtract it. So tell me what you get for B. 37/4. Very good. So that will give us the equation y equals negative 1/4 x plus 37/4. Okay. Number 8. Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point (8, -1) and the point 4, 3. So this time I'm giving you 2 points. Write the equation that's going to go through the point 8, -1 and 4, 3. Now what do you need to do first? Good, find the slope. I didn't say m equals, so I gave you 2 points instead. So now you got to do a little extra work. You got to find the slope because you need slope. Very good. So we're going to plug the slope formula. Says subtract your y's over your x's. So that's going to give us what? Negative 1 minus 3 over 8 minus 4, which is a negative 4 over 4, which is who? Negative 1. So your m is negative 1. That's what we found m to be. Now, you still don't have no b, though. Okay, I just made you do a little extra work to get your m. You still got to find b. Now, since these 2 points are technically on the same line, does it matter which point you plug in to find b? No. They both going to give you the same b. It don't matter which point you use, the first one or the second one. If you were to use that first point, then our y would be negative 1, our m is negative 1, and our x is what, 8? That gives us what, a negative 8? And what are we going to do with negative 8? Add it. And so negative 1 plus 8 is 7. I just want to show, because sometimes people, you got to show them, that it does not matter the point because they're on the same line. If you use 4, 3, you got 3 negative 1 times 4 plus b. And that gives you negative 4, and you're going to end up adding 4, and 3 plus 4 is still 7. So it doesn't matter which point you use. You're still going to get the y intercept is 7. So our equation, though, is going to be what? Y equals negative x or negative 1x plus 7. Good. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 9, let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point negative 1, positive 3, and 3, 4. So again, I got to find the slope. So that would give us 3 minus 4 on top and negative 1 minus 3 on the bottom, which will give us negative 1 over negative 4, which reduces to 1, 4. Okay, that's our m, that's our slope. So pick a point, don't matter which point, first or second? First. So we got what, 3 equals 1/4 times negative 1. So that's the negative 1/4. And what are we going to do with negative 1/4? Add it. Good. So 3 plus 1/4. That's 12 plus 1. 13/4. Good. So our equation would be y equals 1/4 x plus 13/4. Y'all see that? Okay. Number 10, let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, negative 3, positive 12, and has a slope of 0. I want to know the equation that has to contain this point. Negative 312, but has a slope of 0. Now, I would hope that someone would just give me that equation. Y equals 12. Good. Why is it just y equals 12? There is what now? You saying why? Y would be a what type line? Horizontal. Very good. You shouldn't have to plug in 0 for it to come back to you as 12. Okay? You should know that's where things got to connect. If I got to hit this point, that means this point on the line, but the slope is 0, that lets us know when I hear 0 as a slope, the only thing ringing in my head is horizontal lines, because all horizontal lines got a 0 slope. So that's horizontal means it's crossing only the Y. It's a Y only line. Well, if it's got to have this point, then every Y on that line is 12. Does that make sense? So my equation is Y equals 12. Now, if you needed to plug that in, that's perfectly fine. But I need you to know when you multiply that 0 times that negative 3, so you still going to get 12 for B. Does that make sense? But 0, that just need to click. That's Y only. That has to be whatever the Y is on that point. That's my line. Y equals 12. If I said write the equation of a line that's going through the point 5, 1, but the slope is undefined. X equals 5. Good. Unlike a 0, you can't plug in undefined. You're going to have to know undefined means X. Undefined means that's the vertical line. X only. So you gotta, that's the reason why I would do it the same with the 0. You need to know those are your two special lines. 0 means Y only, that's horizontal. Undefined means X only, that's vertical. Whatever the X number is, that's all it can be, is X equals 5. Because unlike this one, you can't plug in undefined and let it throw back at you 5. You're going to have to know that's where it's crossing. That's the line for this. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the next, number 12. I want us to write the equation of the line that's going to hit this point, -1, +4. What does those two lines mean in math? Slanted. Y'all ever seen that before? Those lines slanted like that. Parallel. That means parallel, okay? So if you ever see that, that means parallel. Okay, parallel lines. So I'm making you think a little bit. I want you to write the equation that's going to hit the point, -1, 4. It's going through that point. But it's going to be parallel to a whole nother line. I gave you a whole nother equation. X plus 3y equals 5 is another line's equation. So if I'm telling you that these two lines are parallel, then what do you need to know from that other line? The slope. Very good. If they're parallel, their slopes are going to be the what? The same. Very good. They move the same. Parallel lines are moving in the same direction. Does that make sense? They never cross, but they're going to move the same way. So if the slope of that line is 3/2, then your slope got to be 3/2. Does that make sense? So all I need this other equation for is his slope. I don't need the y-intercept. I just need to know what the slope is. So you can solve for y if you like. If you solve for y, that means you subtract x and then divide by 3. And we get negative, 1/3 x plus 5 over 3? So the slope is who? That negative 1/3? Or you can do this. And this is what I normally do in this section. Because solving for y, that might be that's a little wordy, but it's not like it's a lot of work for you to do. But I don't need to know 5/3. That's not necessary. When you're in standard form, you can find the slope by simply doing minus a over b. Minus a over b. Now you got to remember standard form is ax plus by equals c. The a is the number that's on x. B is the number that's on y. So that's what you got to remember in standard form, okay? So if that's the case, if we go back and look at this equation, this is a and this is b. 1 is a, 3 is b. So if I was to use the minus a over b, wouldn't that be negative 1 over 3? See how easy that was? You always take the opposite sign. That's what minus a means. My a is a positive 1, so I got negative 1. Over what b says, and that's 3. See, that's the slope. That's all I needed from it anyways. Does that make sense? So now that I have the slope, parallel slope means the exact same number. I gotta now find the equation that's gonna have this point on it. So all this extra stuff on this side, I didn't need it. That's the reason why I would only do this minus a over b. Because I don't want you to get confused because I gave you a whole nother equation. This equation is not relevant no more. All I needed was to see what the slope was. You're going to take that point and that slope, and you still got to plug it into y equals mx plus b to find the b for that line. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? So you're going to have 4 equals negative 1/3. My x is what? Negative 1 plus b. So 4 equals a positive 1/3 plus b. And what do I do with that 1/3? Subtract it. (11 over 3). Good. 11/3. So the equation is going to be y equals negative 1/3 x plus 11/3. Do y'all see that? That's the equation that's parallel to the one I gave you. Y'all see what we did? Okay. Number 13. Let's write the equation that's going through the point, negative 1, positive 4, and it's parallel to 2x minus y equals 5. Oh, hold up. Let's change that point. I was wondering, like, I skipped the problem. Let's let this point be, because that's the same point from the last one. Let this point be 3, negative 2. I was looking at that like that's the same. Sorry about that. We're going to go through the point 3, negative 2, but parallel to 2x minus y equals 5. So first, off the bat, I need to know the slope. And we're going to do minus a over b. Now, if you want to solve for y, that's fine. But I want to let's just do minus a over b. I don't want to do all that unnecessary stuff. So that would just be minus what? 2 over negative 1, which reduces to a positive what? 2. Do y'all see that? So the slope, my m, is 2. Does everyone see how I got 2? Negative 2 over negative 1. And so I'm going to take my point and the parallel slope and plug it into y equals mx plus b. So my y is negative 2, my m is positive 2, and x is positive 3. So that gives us what? Negative 2 equals 6 plus b. And what we do with 6? Subtract it. So what's b? Negative 8. Good. So we got y equals 2x minus 8. Okay. All right, 14. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 1, 6. And what does that symbol mean? Very good, perpendicular. Okay, that's the symbol for perpendicular in math. Get my spelling together, perpendicular. Now, perpendicular lines cross. They intersect. Actually, they cross at a perfect 90-degree angle, but you don't even know about all that. They actually cross. So in order for these lines to cross, you got to do something to their slopes. Okay, their slopes ain't the same. Their slopes are going to be the what? Opposite, and what else? Flipped. Very good. Opposite flipped. Okay, opposite reciprocal. That's what that means, opposite flip. Very good. So I still need to know the slope. So I'm still going to do minus a over b. And so that will be a negative, what, 3 over 5? But that's the slope for that line. This ain't parallel, so I don't need the same slope. I need the perpendicular slope, which will be what? 5 over 3. Very good. Opposite signs, that slope is negative. Negative 3 over 5. You need a positive. And then you flip it, 5 over 3. Does everyone see that? That's the slope you're going to use. And honestly, I would be like, okay, that's done. Take my point and my perpendicular slope, and you're going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So our y is 6. The m that you got to use is 5 over 3 now. And the x is 1. So we have 5/3 plus b. And what are we going to do with 5/3? Subtract it. And what will that give us? 13 over 3. So we got y equals 5 over 3x plus 13 over 3. Y'all see that? Let's write the equation of a line that's going through negative 2, 0, and it's perpendicular to 8x minus 3y equals 7. So we're going to find the slope of this line, which will be negative 8 over negative 3, which is 8/3. But you don't use the same slope. You need the perpendicular slope, which will be what? Negative 3/8. Opposite sign and flip it. So you're going to take the point and this slope, and you're going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So we have 0 equals negative 3 over 8 times negative 2 plus b. Now this, if you multiply it together, is 6 over 8. But reduce that. What's 6 over 8? 3/4. Good. And you're going to subtract 3/4 from 0, which is just a negative what? Negative 3/4. Good. So our equation would be y equals minus 3/4. Very good. Negative 3 over 8x minus 3/4. Questions? Okay. Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point -7, +8, and it's parallel to y equals 2. Parallel to y equals 2. Mm-hmm. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Write the equation. It has to have this point, but looks like y equals 2. That would parallel mean. Thank you, y equals 8. Ain't no time for no work. You should just know I'm giving you a special line, a horizontal line. I need another horizontal line, okay? Yeah, the slope is 0, but I don't need you to have to plug that in. You should know that's horizontal line. 0 is horizontal line. 8 is the y, so it's y equals 8. Okay? Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 91, and it's parallel to x equals 2. Come on, x equals 9. Very good. Gave you a vertical line. Give me another vertical line back because they parallel. They got to look the same. Same slope. Okay? Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 5, -3, but it's perpendicular to y equals 2. Perpendicular to y equals 2. Huh? Y equals -1/2. I thought I heard it. Huh? Where do you get 2 from? I need y'all to think now. I said perpendicular to y equals 2. Wouldn't this be y equals 2 here? Right. Oh, say what? X equals 5. Very good. Okay? Now, if I'm asking you about perpendicular, I gotta hit that dot down here. Do you see what I'm saying? This is 5, -3. What's the only way I can hit that dot but cross that line perfectly? That line going horizontally. So I have to go what? Vertically. I have to go vertically, okay? That's the only way. Do y'all see that? So that means I got to give the vertical. Now, if you think about the slopes, now y'all was trying to flip the intercepts. Okay, you can't change the intercept number. Change the slopes. If I give you a horizontal line, the slope of that horizontal line is what? What slope? 0. That means 0 was on top of the fraction, right? Right? Perpendicular means flip it. If you flip it, 0 is now where? On the bottom. That's an undefined slope. That has to be a vertical line. Does that make sense? That's when you know what you're doing, okay? What if 19? I should have missed my numbers. I said let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point. -4, +8, but it's perpendicular to x equals 2. Very good. Y equals 8. Okay? So in other words, when you have these special lines, if I give you parallel, obviously it's the same variable. Okay? If I say parallel to a y line, you got to give me the y number. If I say parallel to an x line, you got to give me the x number. But if I do perpendicular, you got to give me the other variable. Okay? If I say perpendicular to a y line, you got to give me x. If I say perpendicular to an x line, you got to give me y. Pretty simple. Now that we think about it. Okay. Questions. That's going to be it for 2-5. Questions. No? So you do know you got homework on 2-4 on my labs. Get it done. 2-5 is going to open up this evening. Okay? Your test is scheduled for the 30th. So when we come on Tuesday, I'm going to do 2-2 and give you your review sheet. I review you on the 25th. Your test is on the 30th. Okay? That works? All right. Have a good one.